right around now is actually seed starting time for indoors or greenhouses and things like that. I don't have a greenhouse, so it'll definitely be indoors. But sadly, I don't have everything I need to be able to start my seeds just yet. I don't have the soil or any more starters, like any starter packs. I've been using these cups, but I ran out. So instead of being able to start my seeds today, I have been hardening off my early spring cold hardy plants. I've actually been hardening off my plants for a few days now. In order to harden them off, what you're really doing is you are getting them used to a new environment so that they don't go into shock when you plant them into the ground. It has been a nice warm 72 degrees inside my house with no wind and only the light beaming through this giant window behind me in my kitchen. So these plants have been very babied inside my house. In order to prepare them for the real world, per se, I have to bring them outside, and what I did was I started with about an hour on the first day, and then I just continue to add time every day until I'm ready to plant them. These I plan to plant sometime next week, so I've been bringing them out every day. Today they'll sit out here for probably 3 or 4 hours, and then I'll take them back in. I haven't been bringing them out when it's really rainy. I did tell you guys we've had a lot of rain, so I have been very picky with when to bring them out. And when it's super, super windy, I try to cover them. Now, I don't have clear plastic tarp or any kind of small tunnel or anything just yet. So I've been using a clear tote, just one of those little tubs that you use to pack away things or keep items in, like your Christmas decorations and stuff. I just bring out my plants and I set them on the table, and I put that tub over them if it's very windy, so that one, they don't get blown away and ruined, all the soil and stuff fall out, and two, so that they're not put into too much shock. Now, the table I've been using is this wire table here. So it does allow some of that wind to get into them. They're just not getting so much that it puts them into shock just from being out here. Inside my house, it's nice and cozy. I'm a very cold person, so we try to keep it around 72 degrees in here. Otherwise, I freeze. As you can tell, I'm actually just wearing a sweater instead of my giant furry coat, and that's because it's going to be around 60, maybe mid 60s today, and tomorrow into the 70s even. This weather just cannot make up its mind, so it plans to drop back down this weekend, and that's kind of the reason why I'm holding off on transplanting any of these. I'm going to harden them off as it's nice out and actually wait till probably midweek next week to actually put them in the ground. I'm probably going to go ahead and get a cover too, because with Arkansas weather, you really just never know what you're going to get. It does seem like the major threat of ice and stuff is over, but I have seen it happen in April. So, and even very cold temperatures into May. So I'm definitely not ruling out ice or snow or any freezing temperatures. I'm only planting out the plants that can withstand it, and I'm also going to take precautionary measures and get a clear tarp or something to be able to cover them, probably rig up some way to make a little tunnel over the planted areas. My dog really wants to go outside today because it's really nice, so that's him whining at the door. So I'm going to take him out, and I'm going to continue carrying the majority of these plants over here. Now I do have some of these plants that are not quite ready to be hardened off and transplanted out. I don't recommend hardening any plants that don't already have true leaves, and I would recommend waiting until they get a couple of sets of true leaves. I do have 25 celery plants over here, and they actually just recently sprouted up, so it's going to be a little while before they are even ready to harden off, as well as some lettuce. And I'm actually waiting on my cabbage too, because although it does have true leaves, I have some new sprouts that have decided to go ahead and join the fun, and I need to separate some of them as well as let them get a bit bigger. To me, they're still a little too small to be trying to harden off and transplant out. So I'm going to give them just a bit more time in order to make it a little easier on me, rather than carrying 2 to 4 cups at a time, or containers, because not all of them are cups. I actually use this giant tote, and I just put my plants in here, and I carry this entire bucket out and set them all out, and then come in for a second round if I need to. Also, as you've seen on my last video, my tripod broke, so all of this has been a bit harder than usual to film. I'm having to prop things up in random places and attempt to film, so bear with me, guys. I'll eventually get a new one, but it'll have to wait until Now, it is a little windy out here, but because it's going to be kind of warm and I don't think it's going to get too windy, I'm going to leave the plants uncovered. But if I notice that it starts to get just too wild out here, then I do have this tub, and I use it as like a makeshift greenhouse. I just set it over the plants, and it kind of helps block some of that wind and a little bit of the cold, so they don't need to be blocked from cold, because it's not cold out here today for sure, and it won't be tomorrow either. But I have used it on slightly colder days whenever I'm trying to harden them off. I don't want to put them in shock because I don't want to lose any of the plants that we have. Look what we have today. You guys see them? My tulips and Easter lilies are all beginning to sprout up here. I'm really hoping that these do not get killed out by frost or anything. Like I said, I am not ruling frost out at all. The weather has just been so indecisive, so I'm slightly worried that those might get froze. I might actually come out here with something, get some plastic or something and try to cover them up so that they don't die. This is my first time planting them, so I'm actually really excited to get to see them. I love Easter lilies, and my husband actually got me some tulip bulbs and another one that I wish I would have wrote down the name to for our anniversary last year, and so I planted them over the winter like they were supposed to be planted, and they're all starting to come up, so I'm really excited to see them. So fingers crossed they don't freeze out and die, and we actually get to see some really pretty flowers up here. I really need to get out here and get this garden area finished up. It looks like a mess. Apparently one of my kids' toys, right there, that one, got left out in the rain, so now its music won't stop playing. I need to get out here and get this all finished up. Right now it just looks like a giant mess. We were planning to plant in ground, but I think what we're going to have to do is build a few beds and test it out over here. There's just so many more rocks than we had really anticipated. Everywhere I look, there's rocks. I mean, and I'm sure small rocks aren't too bad, but there are a lot of big rocks and they're really deep. We also planned on using trees as our fence posts. As you can see, we have 5 already. And we decided that we wanted to use tree trunks instead because we plan on cutting anyway. They are a great idea if you can dig into the ground. Due to how many rocks there are, we're hitting more rocks than we would like, trying to dig the post holes. So I think that we are actually going to go the post route and come up with the money to fence it off that way. I doubt that we will have it fully fenced by the time I need to start planting, because I need to actually start getting some things in the ground within the next couple of weeks. But we will eventually get there. Last year, with the small little plot we had, we actually didn't have too many animals bother the garden until fall, and that's when we got hit with the rabbits, and we weren't able to eat any radishes. They got our broccoli, they got our carrots. I think we got 3 or 4 carrots. Everything else the rabbits got. So I'm actually a little worried that my spring crops are going to be taken out by rabbits if we don't get some type of fencing or border. I do have snow fence. I don't know if that will keep them out, but it's worth a try. If we don't have our main fence up, then I'm going to try to rig up something to be able to keep at least the area where we put our spring crops protected from small animals. This is where I'm going to leave you guys. I actually still have a lot more to do today. Like I said, I need to clean up this area, and since it's a nice day, I need to get to work. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell if you want to be notified. Bye guys.